Alright, this is video 2 of my base build of videos in Fallout 4. If you watched the first one, I had a recycle slash ammo factory, and I was talking about how I ran into a bunch of problems with it because of the way I laid it out to start with. This is actually my better factory, and what I mentioned in that video, what I did here first was I done the entire floor, laid out all my conveyors like I wanted them, and then built the walls because I ran into some spots where I needed a couple extra rows of floor, and it's just a lot easier to do that way instead of trying to build a building and then fit the factory in it, which comes with a bunch of other problems too. But if you watch that video, you'll see a marked difference. You come in here, how much more open it is. Also, you don't see a bunch of little crazy walls and stuff sticking all various places and everything. That's because I learned from that video, from building that one, how to actually do it and do it differently. The main mod that's actually involved here is the manufacturing overhaul. Big thing with that, it gives you these recyclers, and I'll show you how they work here in just a second. It also gives you these handy little fuse boxes that produce 8 power apiece. They don't make any noise, and they can stick them in and out of the way. So you got your recyclers. This thing here is the vacuum hopper. I don't remember if it's in with the mod or not, or if it's part of the original. But basically anything I put in here, when I turn it on, this vacuum hopper sucks it out and puts it in there. And then the recycler will recycle it. And again, I'll go over how all this works here in just a second. We got our ammunition mills, unconventional, foreign, and just a plain ammunition plant. I don't know why I keep jumping over conveyors, because I don't have to in this one. But one of the main differences is how I get this stuff here, and I don't know why this stuff sounds like it's running because all the switches are off. But one of the main things I did different is I use these hoppers a lot more. This hopper here and that hopper down yonder. In the original plant, I just had a conveyor falling off into a hole, and I had a whole bunch of little walls built up around here to keep the stuff from falling off the conveyor and everything, which didn't really work out that well. Matter of fact, about half the time it stuff falls off and everything else. And this hopper here also makes life a lot easier. But also all this stuff, and again I'll show you all this here in just a second. Everything goes into this hopper. My original one, again, I just had a simple conveyor just falling off into the hole, and again, it didn't work out so well half the time, but this actually does work out. Get to them in a minute. But one thing when you're setting up your conveyors, if you decide to build a factory, is, as you can see, this one ain't quite straight, but the straighter you can get the first one, the better off you are. And you can use the lines on your floor to help line that up. This one kind of runs off a little bit, but it's not bad. But if you don't take the time to try to get it somewhat straight, you start doing a really long run of conveyor, you'll actually wind up running into walls and stuff, or it'll just look really bad. Like I said, this one's not quite as noticeable, but you can notice it when you look down the floor line, how it goes off just a little bit. But all in all, I'm actually proud of how this factory turned out. But let's run back upstairs real quick. Again, I do apologize. I don't know how to make videos or edit them, so this is all new to me. I'm just doing all this off of PlayStation Share. And so, but you put your stuff in the recycling bin, in the recyclers. Again, we'll show how they work. But it comes out of them recyclers. This one goes straight over to this hopper, vacuum hopper, and that. I really don't know why I did this, because I could have just put a straight conveyor there, but for some reason I did that. Again, I don't remember the reasoning behind it. I think maybe I couldn't get a conveyor to fit there or something, but whatever. The far one though has to go over to that elevator over there, and it comes up here, comes out over there, comes down that conveyor, and comes into this hopper right here. And then this hopper goes down to that and carries it over to that elevator along with the other recycler. And I had to do it that way because there was no good way to join the conveyors up, so it was just easier to dump it into a hopper. Plus, because how Sony does their mod stuff and they won't allow them to edit and do certain things, add things that's not part of the game already, the mod author was really restricted in how he done these. I actually think they operate differently on Xbox and PC. I'm pretty sure they do on PC anyway. But when I tell this thing to recycle a certain element, this is the F through Z. So if I tell it to do steel, and you'll see it here in a minute, you send something through there that has steel and several other things, the steel comes out, but everything else stays in. Same way over here, whatever you tell it to recycle, the extra stuff just stays in the thing. Well, to get it out, I put these vacuum hoppers in these two elevators here, so once I'm done recycling everything, I turn them on, they suck everything into the elevators, and basically it comes out those two, comes around these conveyors into this hopper, and then comes over here. Because of the stuff that's left in there, sometimes you'll have things left in a recycler that you're actually wanting for your ammunition plants. And that's where these right here come in. These are our various sorters for the materials we want to make our ammo. Copper, fertilizer, lead, oil, plastic, steel, and fusion cells if I want to make any fusion cores. And I wished I would quit falling off the top floor. I really need to add railing in this place. OSHA would kill me. But the way these work is you put one piece of what you want to sort. So this is copper. I've got one piece of copper in it. So when the junk comes through, and you'll see that here in a minute, anything that's copper gets kicked out over into this big old hopper over here. See, I got 378 copper. Anything that's not copper goes on down, and so on and so forth. Hang on just a second. And anyway, they go so on and so forth through all these different things and it'll sort it out. Anything that is not one of these materials goes over into this hopper. And then that hopper, by the way, this is a little handy thing for getting around these conveyors. Just put two stairs side to side and you can make you like a little walkway over them. I got tired of jumping over the conveyors every time. But everything that's not part of the ammunition we want will go into that hopper there, follow that onto this, come over here, and then I can just dump it straight into this chemistry station, use it for other things. I actually put this chemistry station right here because if I ever recycle a whole bunch of stuff, I'll be overloaded, so I ain't having to do the slow walk. I can just grab it out, turn 90 degrees, right there's the chemistry station. But let's see what I've actually got junk wise. Alright, so we can do some steel and some aluminum. And some steel, aluminum, some screws, stuff like that. So we actually got to go back upstairs real quick. One thing actually real quick, I keep using that stairwell just because it's faster. But I actually do have this elevator, and I'll kind of explain how a little thing about these elevators here in just a second. But I like these little elevators. They're kind of neat, kind of adds to the factory thing. One thing I do wish that I had wired all this a little differently, because my switch to turn on my recyclers is all the way up here for some reason. I don't really remember why I did that. Probably something to do with how I had to get power to certain things or something. I don't know. But go back over here and go back down the elevator. Again, I mentioned in my other video, I actually borrowed this idea from another YouTuber, and I'm going to try to find him and
Right behind you.
link his video in the description, because his ammo factory, he doesn't have to run around to all these little switches. He can just go to one room and operate everything from there. If I can find it, I will definitely give him credit, because then I have to go over and turn this switch. This activates this and my sorting conveyor. That other one over yonder activates my 2 ammunition, or my 2 recycle plants, and this hopper right here. But the way this works, come over here to your little computer, and we tell it we want to do A through F. We're going to set this one for aluminum. And we'll go ahead and set this one up for steel, but I'm not going to do both of them at the same time. But there we go, steel. And now it's set to do steel. And come here to your little locker. You don't have to do this. You could actually put it directly in the ammunition plant. I just like doing this. Come here to the locker. Go over to junk. And right now we're looking for anything that says, oop, actually that don't say aluminum, give me that back. I don't know why an aluminum tray and aluminum oil can give you steel, but I didn't make this game. Let's see. That. And that's everything.
We've seen better days, haven't
The vacuum hopper will suck all that out. It puts it on this little conveyor, and it kicks it over into our recycler. And it's going to start working. And the only thing it's going to kick out is the aluminum. It's not going to kick anything else out. So any of that extra, that nuclear material, springs, glass, is not going to come out for now. Same way this is stress pulser. All our aluminum is going to go up there. It's going to come around this conveyor right here. You can actually see it coming out over there. Now aluminum's not one of the things we're actually using for our bullets, so it will actually go all the way through our sorters there in a minute. Shouldn't be about 3 or 4 pieces of aluminum. But so it's just gonna fall down there as soon as it actually gets here. Looks like there's 3 pieces. So they go down into this hopper. It drops out onto that conveyor down there, and I'll bring it up here. Again, because it's not any of the materials we're actually looking for, it's actually going to go straight on through this. When we do the steel here in a minute, you'll actually see it all get sorted out. But the aluminum is just going to go straight on through this. Let's see, one other thing. You hear the things when one of the materials that we actually need is in there, you'll actually hear a ding when it kicks it out over into them hoppers over yonder. But the aluminum goes over to that hopper. We're just going to drop down here. Eventually it'll fall out into this hopper over here and come down to our hopper over there for the stuff that we don't need for our ammunition. And that's basically all that does. Now for our steel one, go to junk, adjustable wrench, oil can, aluminum tray, that, and that. That does steel, and that has steel. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch it go through all of this stuff. We'll just let it run in the background while I kind of show you some other stuff. But all this is going to come through here, and it's basically the same premise. The only difference is this particular one doesn't have to go into that hopper up there. It's just going to kick all of it out. It's going to keep everything that's not steel in the recyclers. But all this stuff is going to go over here, and it will actually get sorted out. Because we actually need steel for some of our ammunition. Now, you'll usually end up, when you do a whole bunch of stuff, you're going to end up, I don't think I've got enough here that's actually going to have any materials that's gonna get sorted when I clean these hoppers out. But you'll usually end up inevitably because you'll put some stuff that's got steel in there. Well, it'll have something else that you need also for your ammunition, or that one over yonder, you'll put some stuff in it for aluminum or something like that, and it will actually have some steel in it, different things like that. But alright, our steel's coming up now, and when it gets down here to this and here, it starts dinging. If I can get over there, you can actually see when it dings, it kicks the steel right out into that hopper over there. You can see I've got a whole lot of steel, but it'll actually kick all that out, and it'll sit there and it'll keep on doing that while as long as it's still there. One thing on these right here, you won't notice it on steel and stuff, but now certain things like let's see, I ain't got nothing here. Wood, glass, circuitry, various things like that. That actually, let's just take this piece of wood out. All right. This various stuff like this, it's flat. You will actually run into situations where they actually get stuck. Oops, got them right here. But you'll wind up where they'll get stuck in this thing right here. You'll be running your recycler, and you'll know there's a whole bunch of stuff like coming out, and if you come up here and look, there'll be like a big stack of wood or a big stack of glass, or circuitry is another bad one that gets stuck a lot. And you just grab it and pull it on your conveyor, and it'll just pull straight on out onto your conveyor. But you don't really run into it with a lot of stuff, but certain things you do. One other thing, okay, so this is actually done. Certain things like, drop these two things. These two things right here are really big, and they don't fit through the opening real well. This skull actually will. I didn't actually mean to put that in there. Come back here.
Well,
That actually
anyone
will,
could
but sometimes they
figure
will
out a
hang
purpose
up
for it.
going into the thing. And when they do that, the easier way to do those particular ones is to put them directly in there. So like, we set this thing, some of the bigger stuff that actually likes to get hung and doesn't want to go in there good, if we set this thing up to bone, the easier way to do these is to just go straight here, transfer, and just put them directly into it. And then they'll just operate that way, and they'll actually kick the bone out because they will get hung and they don't want to go through these things all that well. Again, it's not a big deal. It's just you do have to remember that on certain things they don't want to fit through real well. But like I said, in circuitry, that's another thing that'll get hung up in these elevators. And it ain't unusual after you recycle, especially if you run a whole bunch of junk through here, which I actually will at times. It's not unusual to come up here to your thing and squat down and look in here, and you'll find, you know, right there's actually some glass that's been stuck in this one for who knows how long. Actually kind of glad that did that, because that actually kind of shows what I was talking about. But stuff like that gets hung. It's a good idea to kind of go around and just check these things every so often, make sure you ain't got it. Right there's a piece of aluminum that got hung, even though I said it wouldn't a while ago. Again, you won't have, usually it'll be a big pile of stuff and you just grab one and grab it, and then a whole lot of stuff will come out all at once. But that's basically how that part of it works. And then if we come back down here, this is my Raider character, by the way. That's why you're saying stuff about caps getting sent to Nuka World. Come back down here, and all this stuff in here, I can either grab it and carry it, but again, like I said, there may be certain things. I don't think there is this time. But usually you'll have a few things left in these that you, actually there's oil in this one. So instead of having to grab it, put it in the hoppers directly and all that stuff, I can just turn these on. And these will start sucking all the stuff out of the recyclers. Make sure you don't have these on when you're running the recyclers, otherwise it'll suck the stuff out faster than the recycler can recycle it. But all that stuff's going to go straight up of those. They'll pull all that out, and they basically operate the same way. They're going to come out on these two conveyors, and all that's going to go into that hopper and come up over there into the sorters. A bunch of rubber springs, stuff like that. Any of this, so I think the only thing out of this that we actually want is the oil. I think the rest of it's going to go off down yonder. But it'll all come out up here. Start going through these. Again, kind of look, make sure you ain't got nothing stuck nowhere. But, like I said, all this nuclear material, leather, all that stuff's going to kick all the way out down yonder at the end because we don't need none of that. Circuitry, asbestos. Oh yeah, a lot of people in here pretty soon. Yeah, here comes oil. That's actually going to get kicked out there. So all this stuff's coming down. Now the oil is actually going to start kicking out over there. See the oil start dropping off down into that hopper over. Another thing that's about these is concrete and cork tends to get hung in these right here a lot. And you'll be sitting here and you'll hear something, and then all of a sudden there's be a big explosion of crap come flying out. And I've actually run into that a few times. But it's not a, it doesn't happen often, but they do hang up. That's another thing. You'll figure out as you start doing this that certain things will hang up more than others. But everything that we don't need is coming out over here now. I think that's the last of it. And we can just take all this stuff. Still got a couple of pieces of rubber coming in. But we can just take all this stuff, go straight here, transfer, store all our junk. Alright, so we don't need this switch right here on anymore. Also don't need, actually I think this switch here, actually I think powers this. I don't remember. No. Oh, okay, this whole conveyor is powered by this switch over here. Alright, so that's how the actual recycling part of this works. Turn this one over yonder off because we don't need him no more either. And we'll just take the elevator back down. Call the elevator up, take him back down. Alright, so next thing is our ammunition plants. Now, let's see. Oh yeah, I've actually got to turn the power on first before that will work. Okay, so that powers our conveyor. It also gives power to our ammunition plants and that big old long conveyor over there. So, what guns do I actually have on me? This is actually more of a melee character, so that's part of why I don't have that many guns on this character. Because this, well, I actually do have a few, but we'll make some shotgun shells. I'm trying to remember which one of these is in. But your various ammunition plants. Let's see. I think it's gonna be the regular one. Yeah, shotgun shells. So, we need 2 plastic, 2 fertilizer, and 1 lead. So it tells you what you want to build. And you actually can load that directly into the ammunition plant if you want to. But that's actually going to be that one over there. Yeah, that one over there. This is why I said I wished I had everything done a little different, wired up a little different. But we need, that's the copper, this is going to be the, oh yeah, I do need that switch on. Okay, forgot about that. I actually did have to leave this switch down here on. I did. Why do I have no? Oops. Power. Okay, so it's been a while since I've done these characters, so I'm trying to figure out why do I not have power there? I do apologize for this. Is this on? Is this still on? I actually thought I had all this ready to go. That's that switch, that's that switch. I'm gonna lie to you, I'm not 100% sure why this ain't working. Oh, big dummy. I'm glad I noticed that because I switched on the wrong pylons. Sorry about that. I do apologize. Like I said, it's been a while since I've actually been on this character. Okay, so this one is your main power. No, that is not your main power. But apparently I've got to have that one on. Okay, so I've got something wired funky here. Okay, that's not a big deal, but apparently I've got to have that switch on to power each switch. So, the heck with it, we're just going to open all these up. Because apparently I'm going to have to in order to get this to work. So, let that be a lesson. I've never actually messed with this that much, but the way I wired these in series, so I don't actually have to turn that one on. But I wired these in series instead of wiring them in parallel. I have to come by and put another row of things in. But I'll deal with that on another day. So basically everything's just going to go piling it. Well, some of this is going to go over yonder for various reasons, but basically everything's going to go into there. And again, I have a save already, so because this is going to be one hell of a mess to clean up because of this sheer amount of crap. But our ammunition plant is now kicking out shotgun shells now that it's got the right stuff in it to actually do that. Alright, that's actually going to be clean. Let's go back up there and turn those off real quick, because I don't really want to unload every bit of stuff. I've actually never actually manufactured ammo with this character, so that's why I haven't caught this till now. But basically, because that's my main power for all this, and it runs straight down here, they're in series, so each one of these switches has to be on in order for the next to be powered. What I should have done was run another row of just these regular poles here. I'm sorry, excuse me, these connector poles, and put one in front of each. Run my power down that leg. Well, actually, I'll just show you real quick. Let's see, what I should have done was, where's that? Power. What I should have done was run me a series, which I'll redo this later, but and then took my wire from either one and go to these. Actually, put that wire there. Yeah. See, this is why I do apologize for anybody that's actually having to watch this. Now, I can put that directly to this one, and you'll notice it actually has power now. Again, I'll come back in here and actually fix this later, but for now, this is, store these. For now, that's kind of what I was talking about when I said that I'll have to redo the wiring, because of how that worked out. Because basically, I just unloaded the entire hopper system into this. Anyway, my ammo comes out down here, and we got 425 shotgun shells for that. And we'll get all this crap out of here. That got some copper coat off in it. That one didn't. Just drop all this junk back in here. Let it go back up there and go through this little sorter things. Now all that'll go back up there and it'll sort it all back out, put it all back in the various hoppers and stuff. And all that'll come out. Again, we're not going to sit there and watch all this, but essentially every bit of that'll come up here. It'll go back through the sorters and it'll sort it all back out, put it back in the appropriate hoppers. And once I redo the wiring for this thing, I won't have to open up every single hopper because, you know, one thing is no sense in doing that. Also, like you can see, I've got 1,800 and something steel there. Well, that's a lot of steel to do. But these little switches right here. So if I'm wanting to run these two plants over here, which is our unconventional and our foreign, I believe is what they are. So unconventional and foreign is, so our regular ammunition plant is your, it takes this thing a minute, is your 10mm, your 308. You can see shotgun shells, right away, spikes, flame refuel. Foreign is going to be like your syringers, not really a whole lot there. Gamma, fusion cells, plasma cartridges, harpoons, 4570, concentrated acid, I think that's for some little gun from Nuka World, and the 7.62, I believe that's the handmade rifle rounds. And unconventional flares, the main thing here is your fusion cores, but you can also make this, and some of this may be for mods, I can't really remember, but main thing is I can make fusion cores with that one if I want to, and they actually require 50 copper, 50 lead, and 100 fusion cells. So fusion cores are kind of expensive, but if you're going to use power armor a lot and you don't really like laser rifles, you can make them pretty easy. But getting back to these switches, right over here on this conveyor. That conveyor's not powered up right now. Over here to that conveyor. As you can see, this is actually going to take a while. It's still kicking copper through there. But if you're wanting to use these, so this is your main power. It powers up all the conveyors plus them. This switch here will actually turn that, and then all my junk will slide down and come over here. And then, depending on which one of these you're wanting to do, if you want to do that one, you just let it go straight over there. Or some of your stuff will come over here, and you'll have to put it over there. But if you want to use the unconventional one, turn this one on, and it'll kick everything over there. So, and then you can turn these both back when you're not using them, and they'll just slide back out of the way. We actually don't need these on anymore. But, let's see. Is there anything else I was actually going to show on this one? Yes, this is still taken now. We're taking the steel and everything else. Oh, the elevators. So, let's just come out here. Alright, let's see. Wrong button. Alright, so, one thing I figured out on one of my earlier bases when trying to use those elevators, because I really wanted to use them. Alright, let's just put us some flooring down. Alright, so there's that. Elevator. Alright, let's do a 2-floor elevator. So it connects into the floor. Now, the only thing with these elevators is, let's see if it'll let me do this. Let's remove that floor upper. Alright. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta put power on this. Hang on. Power generator. Snow. Now, that ought to be sufficient power. Nope. No. I guess I should have paid more attention. Now. Alright, so these elevators were added with the warehouse and barn part of this. So, the walls for the warehouse and barn are actually slightly taller
Stays hidden
than
forever.
your standard wall.
Please, not if I
So
have
you
my
wind up with this little weird gap right here. And you kind of notice you can't just go straight onto it. You have to jump up on it. Your concrete, let's see, let's get rid of that. Scrap that. Move you over here for just a minute. Alright. So your warehouse wall and whoops. Hang on a minute. Again, I wasn't exactly planning on doing this, but just for a quick thing to show you. So, your original walls that you had, oh my goodness, I do apologize folks, like I said, the 3 or 4 of you that's actually going to watch, your metal walls, and also your wood walls are actually shorter than the warehouse and the barn walls. You actually see they're actually quite a bit shorter. So you're actually trying to use these elevators, you actually have to use them with the warehouse or the barn build set, because if you do it that way, then the floors actually line up, and when you get your elevator, your you're stepping straight off onto the floor and you're stepping straight up onto the elevator. But your other walls are actually too short for the elevators, because I actually built a concrete base with one of my other characters, and I was going to try to use the elevators because I thought they was really neat, and I wound up realizing the elevators wouldn't work and had to go back and just do stairs. So that's also another reason why this whole warehouse was I used a warehouse. I think the warehouse. I think it's the warehouse that's got the glass walls. Let's see. Yeah. Warehouse, walls. Which all these walls are the same height, but yeah. Warehouse has the glass walls and stuff, and that's why I used that particular build set so I could actually put the elevator in, because these walls are actually shorter. I don't know why Bethesda done it that way, but that's just a little quick tip if you ever decide to use elevators. You do have to use you do have to use either the barn or the warehouse. Either one of those will work. They are both the same height, but the concrete, the metal walls, and the shack walls are all, as you can see, that's almost an inch or two shorter. I don't exactly know how the scale is in this game, but that was just something real quick I thought I'd throw in. Let's get rid of all this crap now, because I don't need none of it. And the reason my defense is red on this particular base is I actually built a robot to be my supplier, and so it actually shows one person here. I could actually get rid of that real quick. Just throw up one turret.